Hey guys, welcome back here to Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys coming by the channel today and checking it out. Guys, today we have got some good tips with the Zoom trick worm. I call them trick worm tricks. The Zoom trick worm, guys, is arguably one of the top plastic worms in the history of bass fishing. A lot of different ways to fish, a lot of different situations, so we're going to go over that in today's video. I think it's going to add up to some nice fish for you guys. And also, guys, I will put the Zoom trick worm link in the description of my video through my Tackle Warehouse link. If you guys would like to pick up some trick worms using that link of mine at Tackle Warehouse, great way to support intuitive angling if you like to give something back to the channel. So appreciate everybody that's been doing that. And also, guys, real quick, they still have the sale going, the spring sale going on my Solar Bat RB2 and RB3 series glasses. Right now you can get them at 30% off. Use the promo code RandyB for free shipping and handling. And we've got 3 different frame colors. We got this one here, and the black, and the matte gray. So that link will be in the description of this video too. Appreciate that. Okay, guys, the trick worm has been catching them forever. Zoom trick worm, 7-inch worm, small diameter. If you haven't seen it before, it's got one flat side here to it. Now, the design of this bait, I think, is one of the reasons it's so effective. Sorry about that dang train out there, God. But it's got a flat, sort of a keel side on this, and then you got more of the ribs on there. Comes down to a taper, and you got a little bit fatter tail. There's something about this worm, whatever it is, the design of it, the diameter, it is a fish catching fool. And it's very similar. The old cream worm that was around in the 70s was sort of similar to this, except the trick worm is a little bit longer and just the design is a little different on it. But whatever it is, it flat out catches bass. Unbelievable. So I want to talk about some of my favorite ways to fish a trick worm, and the situations I fish it in here in today's video. So the first one, one of the best ways to rig a trick worm or fish a trick worm, even if you've never tried it before, is a trick worm. Get my hook in here. A trick worm is an excellent pitching and flipping bait for flipping a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different situations. You can flip dirty water with it. You can flip clear water with it. There's every piece of type of cover you can fish with it. I have caught a ton of bass on a trick worm just with a Texas rig like this. Texas rig and a trick worm just like that. I mean, just flipping and pitching it, usually 17 to 20 pound test Seaguar and Vizex line, straight shank Gamakatsu hook. That is deadly right there. And most of the time, when I'm flipping and pitching the trick worm, it's like I said, I have caught bass on this in everything between a foot of visibility on a trick worm and 10 foot of visibility on a trick worm. But specifically, when I'm flipping and pitching a trick worm, here's what I look for. I like to use the solid black one or a black with red flake if the water visibility is around, say, a foot or so. If you've got shallow water cover and you've got water temperatures over like 70, 75 degrees and you've got water visibility about like that, take this trick worm here, guys, and put on an 1/8 ounce or 3/16 ounce sinker, 20 pound test fluorocarbon line, and just methodically pitch it and flip it, that black trick worm, around those type of structures. It's freaking deadly for that. Now, if you've got water visibility of like 1 to 2 foot, just a little bit cleaner with that, you can do the same thing with a June bug or a red bug color. The June bug and the red bug color has got a little bit more flake in it. One of the best days that I've ever had flipping and pitching is taking a June bug or a red bug trick worm and flipping it around any type of aquatic vegetation. I've caught them on reeds and cattails around it. I've smoked them in lily pads on it. The trick worm is deadly for flipping lily pads, shallow grass, gator grass, any type of thing. I'll give you a prime example. If you guys have ever fished Potomac River in Maryland, it's got a lot of lily pads in it. And I've had a bunch of money finishes on the Potomac River flipping a trick worm, like a red bug or June bug trick worm on a 3/16 sinker. Just very subtle. It's just a very subtle flip and bite, but the bass absolutely love it. And another thing, see this color right here? I'll tell you a little story about, well, actually this one here, this watermelon chartreuse tail. I was fishing a tournament down at the Harris Chain Lake, and I was on Lake Griffin. And the area I was fishing on Lake Griffin, it was dirty water. The water visibility is only like that. And it was dark. I was flipping thick lily pads, and I was using a June bug colored creature bait. And that was marginal because it was really dark. It was dirty water and it was shade with the lily pads. So I was using a dark colored creature bait, and my partner shows up with this exact worm right here, this watermelon with chartreuse tail. And when he put this thing in the water, it disappeared. You couldn't even see it in that muddy water. And he whacked them on it, guys. He wound up catching a limit on this thing on a Texas rig trick worm, flipping those pads before I even had one in the boat. So just outstanding flipping and pitching bait. Other thing with it, guys, shaky or a trick worm is probably my #1 shaky head lure, but it's being replaced quickly with this new thick trick worm here we've been talking about. This is the new thick trick worm from Zoom. It's a little bit different than the regular thick trick worm, but I have caught loads and loads and loads of bass on a trick worm with the shaky head. I mean, it's been my #1 producing, shaky head bait by far of anything out there. Another thing that is really good with the trick worm, guys, if you've never tried it before, trick worm makes an awesome wacky rig. Most people fish a wacky rig with like a soft plastic stick bait like a Senko, but a trick worm, the difference behind it is it falls extremely slow. It falls about, if you put a wacky rig Senko on and a wacky rig trick worm, the trick worm will fall about twice as slow. And there was an angler, his name was Carl Sweevack. And back in the 90s on the FLW Tour, he had a lot of top 10s, and most of them came on a wacky rig, a trick worm. Very, very good when those fish are very spooky and in very shallow water. Like if those fish are in 3 foot of water or less, try that wacky trick worm. Works really, really good with that. Another way that you can catch them on a trick worm, guys, it's a great Carolina rig bait. I catch a ton of fish on a Carolina rig with a trick worm. And then finally, my favorite by far way to fish a trick worm, even above a shaky head, is I use a trick worm as my floating worm. Trick worm, the whole concept of floating worm, it's not, floating worm doesn't float on the surface. It goes just under the surface. But Zoom makes a bunch of different bright colors like whites and bubble gum and yellow and methylate. And the trick worm is the best floating worm that you'll ever use. I've caught just thousands and thousands of bass on it. So probably the most versatile plastic worm as far as how you can fish it of any worm on the market. Again, guys, I will link this in my Tackle Warehouse link. Get you a bunch of different colors on it. You won't regret it. Definitely a fish catcher. So we'll talk later.